Well, the rain's finally stopped, so I don't have to do my ark building series. But freezer's full of fish, sun's shining. I guess I got nothing left to do but build this barn. So basically today, I'm under the overhang part. So this is an exterior wall. And then this part, you probably can't see on the video too much. It's like 8 feet of covered area that I'm going to put my tractor implements. Now around the whole bottom of this barn, there's going to be like a black wainscoting. And just because I thought the paint would be better protection close to the ground, and it's a shorter, smaller board to replace if it does start to rot, or in this case, we made them a little taller than the rest of the building because I might scratch them with a tractor implement or a trailer, or who knows what life happens, you know. So they're a little taller under here. And I didn't mind using these, and I'll get into that a little later because I got a ton of blue stain on these, but I think I know why. And in the next little clip here, I'll talk about that. But first, I'll show you how I'm putting these on. Well, look at this. See, first thing I do is I paint these screws. But these darn screws, square drive screws. I bought a 25-pound container at Menards. They were sitting by the regular Torx screws. So now I got 25 pounds of square drive screws. Why not take them back, you ask? Because I'm lazy. So these screws, basically, I stick them in a cardboard box. I spray paint it, the head, because otherwise when you're painting, you got to gob paint in there to try and get that screw black so it blends in, and then you get little runs, you know, and you don't want that. So I spray paint that so I don't have to gob a bunch of paint in. And you go, well, the board's already painted. Why would you have to paint it? Well, after I get these up, the plan is to run over them with the roller and just give it one final coat just to make it purty. All right. Now leveling, I have not dug a level out at all on these. I'm just lining them up with this chalk line I snapped, and it's working out pretty good. So basically I just put her up to the chalk line, screw her in. Now I will finish these up, and then I'll show you how I was doing the top. And that's actually kind of interesting because I've never seen anyone else do it that way before. So let me get done with this, and then we'll be on to that. All right, I run out of painted screws, so it's on to the upper part. Now what is that, you say? Is that fence pickets? Why, yes it is. I'm not sure how this is going to work, but it seems to be working pretty good so far. Because this wall is pretty protected. I had a bunch of fence pickets I'd bought off a marketplace. It was a deal too good to pass up. You know those. You know, you cruising around on the internet and you're like, wow, that's a steal. Guy had cedar fence pickets. So I went and I bought them and haul them home. Wife's like, what are you going to use them for? It's like, I don't know. I guess I'm kind of a hoarder. But see, now I'm using them. So it wasn't a waste. And fortunately, because I didn't have enough to do this whole wall off the batch I bought off Marketplace, buying some at Home Depot, and they match up perfectly with the ones I had bought. So basically using cedar fence pickets, I'm shooting 3 finish nails into each 2x4. So it's 3 different locations. It's getting 3 finish nails. Now I was questioning, is that going to be sturdy enough? Is that going to hold that board? But it seems fairly sturdy right now. Time will tell. I mean, worst case scenario, I have to go back through and put some screws in her. And basically the reason we wanted the fence pickets, or the reason I wanted the fence pickets, is I wanted to have, with this part being the overhang, and that'll be sealed off eventually. I actually got the stuff to try sealing that off. We'll see how that works. That's another experiment. But I wanted a spot where I could have a little bit of airflow in the lower level of the barn, because there's so many barns I go into that they're just so moist. You know, it's like the moisture can't get out. So that's why I'm doing that. I don't know if I'll have to screen that off at a later date. And on the top section, You know, obviously I don't even have house wrap on those boards yet, but there's going to be, well, I can show you. I got it in my hallway. I'll show you. This is in my stairwell, and it's just kind of an experiment, and I ain't even done putting it up yet. But basically, I'm taking scraps, because I got a ton of scraps, and I'm cutting them 8 inches, 6 inches, and then putting a 45 on these little, on the corners, and painting them black and screwing them up. And I think it looks kind of cool. Good way to use a scrap. Something interesting. Just something interesting. That's what I'm after. I'm just having fun with this building. So basically, I'm going to do something like that. Meeting those pickets. You know, so it'll be the picket and then a gap and then these coming down from the edge of the building. This whole stairwell is dark. We don't have no windows on. There will be trim running right here, obviously, where these meet. So, and it'll be black trim. But we're doing a couple experiments in here. The back wall, I'm using up some old cedar. I don't have the ceiling part in. And then we tried another experiment with some logs. I got a bunch of log faces from milling. And I nailed them up. I don't think that looks too bad. I'm going to fill the gaps in with silicone, white silicone. So I think that'll look okay. And again, there'll be trim here, black trim. I know it looks horrible right now, but I think it'll look sharp with the trim on it. And then this will be painted black, this trim around the door. And then I tried some live edge siding up on top. Again, the lighting's in here is terrible, but yeah, we're just experimenting with a bunch of different things, because this whole building, we're building pretty much for fun. You know, if we just wanted a building, we'd just put up a metal building, you know. But we wanted to learn, we wanted to have fun and spend time together. Of course, we thought it'd only be one summer, but it has ended up being 2 summers now. Well, summer and a half. And then we're experimenting with the angles, because we're thinking of doing angles on the inside with cedar 1/2-inch boards. And then we experimented with some straight ones. So we're playing around, seeing what we like better. All right, now back to the fence post, fence pickets. All right, so basically just your run-of-the-mill cedar fence picket, stain both sides. The side I'm putting out is, like you see the rings, this board will cup like this, because rings always try to straighten out. So I'm putting it so the cup will be out. You know, I guess you don't have to. I guess personal preference, but that's the way I do it. And then, yeah, there's a lot of highly technical measuring that goes up into putting these up. Basically, just slam them up there. There. Now this gun, usually I wear safety glasses, the air diverter, the thing, because it exhausts out through here, and the air shoots straight out of there. If you've got your face in front of that thing and you shoot a nail, man, it'll peel your eyelids right back. Doesn't feel good. All right, I'll get the rest of them up. But while we're out here, I'm going to show you something. All right, the pile's getting pretty small. Now, basically, what I was going to show you, a lot of these boards underneath had a lot of blue stain and mold like this. All right. Now, basically, what happened was I had a pile of wood here. It was probably, I don't know, 7 feet tall, and it was probably about 7 feet wide. And I had it sitting in a 3-sided barn. All right. Now, you know, the barn, the back faces north, the open side faces south, and it really didn't get, there's not a lot of airflow in there, okay? So I screwed up in a couple ways. One, I had my pile too wide, right? So 7 feet, I think, is too wide. I'm not going to pile them that wide anymore. I'm going to only pile them 4 feet wide. And two, I'm not going to stick them into a dead airspace like that three-sided, just because, you know, it does. Maybe you'd be okay if you had it like a concrete floor or something, but there it just has a sand floor and moisture coming up. So basically, in the pile, now this isn't the pile, but you got to envision it. You know, the pile a lot wider and a lot taller, but the boards that got blue stain, like if you drew like a hump in the center of the pile, that's where all the boards with the blue stain and the mold was, okay? So, like if you drew a hump. Now, granted, the boards were all cut, you know, wrong time of year. You know, I cut them June. I cut them all in June, and I stacked them in there. And basically, yeah, that's what happened. So, things I'm doing to correct it, if you're ever stacking lumber, is I'm going narrower, and I am going where I have more airflow, or I'm going to use fans. Eventually, I want to build a solar kiln, but, you know, I got to build a barn and a house first. You know, you got to prioritize. So, basically, this is all the wood we have left for siding this thing, and that's one of the main reasons we're using these fence pickets up for this wall, because this wall being under the overhang, you know, and already I had planned for the gap at the top. So I was like, well, that should be plenty. That should work good. So basically we're going to use this up, and I think this will side the rest of the building of what we gotta get left, and hopefully get the doors done. And then I'm going to cut a bunch more. So, yeah. But I just wanted to share that on the blue stain, because there's so many little learning processes that, you know, you learn just by making mistakes, I guess. You know, it's not terrible, because I don't mind the blue stain. I think it looks good. But, like, if you're doing siding, you know, you either got to have all blue stain or no blue stain, you know, because it doesn't look right when it's mixed together. You either need clear boards or the blue stain board, one or the other. But anyhow, enough rambling on that. I'll get the fence pickets on, and then we'll get to the next little project. No, this is not a cooking channel, but this is kind of cool, so I figured I'd show it. It's cool because pretty much all the food here came within a half mile of this grill. The beef came from my neighbor's cows. The onions came from my garden. The tomatoes came from the garden. The potatoes came from my garden. And some apple slices came from a tree on top of the hill. Boy, it's getting pretty smoky. I may have to check that out. But yeah, just thought that was pretty cool. It's pretty awesome when you can eat that locally. All right, back to work. Well, there she is, 99% done. Unfortunately, it was a huge time suck, and it took up most of the time I had to work today, so I ain't going to be able to get to too much else. But overall, I think it looks pretty good. I ended up being like 1.5 inches short on the fence pickets, but I think when the building's closer to completion and I have siding on the front here, and then I can evaluate it, and I got a feeling I'll end up just putting a black piece of trim that runs there and probably even goes all the way up into that section. Basically, everything went pretty smooth, just took a little longer than I anticipated. I still have to roll the bottom one more time just to finish it off, because the only section I rolled, and standing here, I don't know if it shows up on film, but is that center section right there, that I didn't. And that definitely looks better. It's darker, and there's no the screws are less prominent, so it looks better. So we're definitely gonna roll it. What else? The trim. Originally, when my wife came up with this idea, I was thinking, man, we're gonna have to put a trim board down through there. But heck, I don't think it looks too bad. I don't think right now we need the trim, so it's something we'll come back to when the building's closer to completion. All right, now one more thing. Before I go, I got to figure out for a window here. Well, the reason most of my day's gone, I was standing here working, and I got a small brain. I'm like a squirrel, you know, short attention span. And I've seen all the weeds in that clover field, and I'm like, well, I got to go cut that. So there went a big portion of my time, because I cut that field, and then I cut another one, and diagonally this time. See, my dogs walk up and down where the tractor tires went. So this time, I cut it at an angle to see if they'll walk diagonally, because otherwise they walk from that end to that end and back and forth. I don't know. That's just what they do. Now I want to see if they go angled wise. Yeah, that's how bored I get. That's how exciting my life is. All right, what I got to figure out, I got to plug that hole. All right, among other things back here, obviously. But that's next thing on the list. And what we're going to plug it with, we'll walk over here. Oh, I never showed, yes, it's kind of homely, my board split and this and that, but I never showed the door I'm putting in. I'm going to put a door in on this side, a small entry door. I'm going to build it. And I just used some big timbers for framing, nothing too special, but they were free. That's why they're there. I mean, I had them laying out in the field. They were like the first timbers I cut when I got the sawmill. It was a rotten old red pine tree, and I didn't think I'd get anything usable out of it. There's quite a few cracks, so I couldn't cut it into boards. It was a standing dead tree, so the cracks were pretty much there when I cut it up. But yeah, like that. But it's perfectly fine and plenty sturdy for what it's going to be, or what it is, I should say. But yeah, going to be building a door probably next weekend. Will probably be the door, that, and hopefully get some of the siding done. But this is what's going in them holes, all right? So before I leave, I got to make sure I have at least a list of everything I need to put those, or that. I got a couple more over in the corner. In that hole, and that hole, and this one, and probably that, you know, on the outside overhang, among other things. But yeah, so that's all I got to do. So I didn't really get to too much of the exciting stuff. Next time, I promise, it's gonna get better. I'm really looking forward to getting to the cool stuff. That's why I haven't been making too many videos, you know, like once I start doing the water system and the electrical and the wood stove and the little propane heater and the solar array, and you know, that's the cool stuff. That's the stuff I'll videotape in detail. But like this, you know, staining boards, you know, that's, yeah, like they say, watching paint dry. I know it's not a video I would watch, so there ain't really any content I can make, you know, because pretty much all I've been doing is painting and staining and running boards through the planer. And if you've seen one board go through a planer, they're all the same. Slowly but surely, bunch of chips fly and board comes out a little skinnier. But yeah, that might be it, unless I have a flurry of activity and get a frame built for that. But if that's it, thanks for watching. And there should be a new video coming up, because I got 1 week of work and then I got a week off. And in that weekend and then week off, I'm hoping to about finish the siding at least, you know. So we'll get there, but I should be able to get some content out of that. All right, thanks for watching. All right, so I stayed a little late because I wanted to at least get this plastic figured out. What I'm using to cut it, it's a $3 blade they sell at Menards. I don't think you can get one cheaper than this. But I figured I only had a little bit of cutting to do. I could throw it out after this, or depending how it goes. All right, so I got my line marked out on here. We're gonna check this out here. I did do an angle cut up here, and it didn't go too bad, but I had the tape running straight across, and the tape ripped, blew my line up, so it kind of jammed me up. So now I got my line, I got the tape going all the way down, following the contours of this panel. We'll see if this works better. Back her up a little. Woo! The excitement. All right. Pretty decent cut. Still got all my fingers, so it's a great cut. All right, we'll go see if this fits, and then I'll try drilling a hole in it, and then I gotta get the heck out of here. All right, basically what I did, I built a cheap little frame here, and it's 23.5 inches center to center, because the center of this outside rib to the center of this rib is 23.5 inches. So basically, let's see if she fits here first. I'm not ready to put it up here permanent, because the other one will end up overlapping, but I desperately want to see what this thing's gonna look like, you know, from the inside. Hard to talk with a screw in your mouth. Oh, that's beautiful. Well, there it is, temporarily tacked on. I'll probably end up buying black screws, all right, just so they blend in better. I just had these laying around. I thought, maybe they'll work, but now they stick out way too much. Probably do the other screws on the inside instead of on top of the humps, but really on the edge there was no place to get one on the inside. You know, trim from when I put the soffit or whatnot in here will cover that. And then there'll obviously have to be a trim piece that goes from here to here. So that ain't too bad. Now I just gotta see what it looks like on the inside, and I'll take her back off so I can copy this angle on the next piece. And it looks like I'll only be able to stick 2 pieces. The next one will overlap right here, and it'll end right there, and then I'll probably use wood to fill in that little corner. But I gotta go down there and see how it looks from the inside. Could definitely use a cleaning. You'll be able to tell when it's dirty, that's for sure. But I don't think it looks too bad. I'm gonna run with it. You know, some of the stuff, you know, when you're trying, I mean, you've never even seen it before, you know? So you gotta just experiment and have fun with it, I think. Well, all right, I'm gonna wrap her up and get that down, touch up the paint on that little framing I made so it doesn't, my screws and everything don't stick out like a sore thumb. No one else would notice it, but when you build something yourself, you'll notice it till that building falls down. But which hopefully never happens in my lifetime, on this one anyways. But yeah, thanks for watching.